when you welcome everybody to this exciting episode of Geek Boots Military Nerds, because tonight we are reviewing a television show for the first time, The Boys on Amazon. And on every episode, we like to tell you all about the big green weenie and how it likes to continue to fuck us. And in the fashion of The Boys, it's like when you think you're invincible until you realize you have the same vulnerabilities as a turtle. And with it being tonight is a special day, happy birthday to
you.
Russ.
This is still gonna
Happy
birthday. None of us are insane.
to me.
Happy
Birthday, dear Russ.
Happy
birthday to you.
And just like the government, that was all sorts of fucked up.
In our defense, doing
be
it
fair.
with,
To be fair.
To be
To be fair.
we are doing this with latency.
But that was just,
How does it feel to have people from all over the world literally wish you happy birthday?
Yes. Yes, I've been having that wonderful excuse all day, and then I finally just had to take a break from social media for a while just to, okay, cool, I'm going to actually go out and have some fun on my birthday. And yes, just had a wonderful birthday dinner. So, bacon burgers, oh, so delicious. Thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
I just
So
want to
I-
note for the record that the question was, how does it feel knowing that a bunch of people wished you happy birthday from all the world just now? And your response was yes.
That's how you know the beer is working.
Yes. But here's what I picked up for myself today.
Oh.
Those of you that can't see it,
Oh!
Johnny
Yes!
Rico. So it's the summer limited. It's the SDCC version where he's got like the bug juice all over him after the grenade scene. So, yeah.
And while we cannot see her, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest tonight. My girlfriend, Ruby Echo, is joining us tonight.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello.
She's
I've
having
given up
webcam.
on my video. I'm just not gonna do it now.
It's okay. You're so stunning that you just broke the camera.
It's really ironic considering how quiet she normally is, so to not see her is just interesting. Anyway, tonight's episode we are reviewing The Boys, which premiered on Amazon Prime. Hopefully you
Oh my
all have
goodness.
it, guys. You need to get it because holy shit. If you need any degree of a break while still watching something superhero related, but having a break from something superhero related, this is right in that wheelhouse. It is very refreshing. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. I love what they've done with it.
Those are not the adjectives I would use.
Not at all.
That is
No,
a spoiler-free review.
It's my ironic word usage. I'm a huge fan of comic books, so what they've done with the show in terms of we're starting the spoiler-free review first, then we'll go into spoilers. They've done a great job. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I can't wait to see what they do for season 2 for so many different reasons. They've casted it well. I really love Carl Urban as the Butcher. It's been a fantastic, joyful ride. They've kept it very true to the comic books. So if you are looking for something that stays true to its material basis, this is the show for you. Also, if you really just like, if you like Deadpool, you'll like The Boys. And that is my spoiler-free review. We are going to now throw it over to Ruby Echo, our special guest tonight. Why don't you give your spoiler-free review, my love?
Okay. I absolutely love the show so much. I wasn't really expecting to. I mean, I expected to like it, but I was like became a little bit obsessed with it. I think it was very refreshing to see this take on superheroes, and like, if they're real, let's exaggerate it like crazy, and this might be what they'd be like. Maybe they aren't the people that you hoped they would be, even though they are really good at pretending that they are.
Isn't it that phrase, never meet your superheroes, never meet your heroes?
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's so good. It's such like a powerful message on perception and having corporations run superheroes and everything. It's hard to say more than that without getting into spoiler territory, so we'll just say that I love it.
She is currently on track to be watching it a second time. She binge watched all the way up to episode, what was it, 6?
I got through 6 at lunchtime today for my
Nice.
second time through.
She started
That's a
binging
long
it-
lunch.
Hold on. She started binging it yesterday afternoon. So that just lets you know how much she enjoys the show. So that's pretty awesome. We are now going to throw it over to our PlayStation gal over here, Mayan Goddess. Why don't you go ahead and give your spoiler-free review?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, are you the type of person that is like, I'm fucking tired of superhero movies, but I want to see a comic book thing? Then watch The Boys. Is the best way to describe it. Definitely not something I would watch with young children.
Nope.
That's
Uh,
negative.
I don't know what you're talking about. Babies are going to fucking love this.
Yeah. I have a funny story about that, but we'll wait until the spoilers.
That's why I said it.
Let me tell you, girl. But no, I very much enjoyed it. The character development was really nice. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. Personally, there were some things that I was like, but for the most part, like, I really appreciated how they developed a lot of the characters. There was some really good character development for a good portion of the characters. And I like the direction that they took it. They very much did explore things that a lot of superhero movies right now don't really venture into, but it's kind of like one of those underlying, but wait. So I really appreciated how they did that. They did pay homage to to the source material, which I very much respected. They did tone it down a little bit, and I'm okay with that. But even so, it's still like, even if it's toned down a little bit, it's still like very like eye-opening. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it.
And now we'll throw over to Single Dad. Single Dad, your spoiler-free review.
Oh, hey, bud. Thank you. Now
Not
it's my
at,
turn to talk.
not at all like that is how the show went.
Correct. Okay, so everything you just saw, the opposite of that. No, I have not read the source material. I will openly admit that. I'm
Like
interested.
that.
I'm interested in reading it. I will say I was highly entertained. I started watching it, and I heard some great things about it. It took me about a week before it came out for me to actually sit down and say, okay, I'm going to dedicate some time to watching this. And I was planning on watching an episode or two before going to bed one night. First 5 minutes, I was hooked. Next thing I know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, holy crap, I need to go to sleep. So I ended up watching 4 episodes at night, and then the next morning, I literally woke up and was like, okay, I'm finishing this series as soon as I can, and finished it by lunch the next day. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I loved it. I can't talk about the source material. I don't have any knowledge about that. But as for the superhero tropes, they did away with a lot of cliches, and they made some of the superhero cliches that we all kind of know and take for granted, and they took them and kind of turned them on their head. Absolutely loved that aspect of the show. The casting, I think, was great. I will give it same as mine. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. There were some things that I think that they could have done better, but overall, highly entertaining. I am going through and watching it a second time myself. I think it's awesome. Very, very entertaining and a breath of fresh air in just everything, the mainstream kind of cookie cutter superhero movies that we've got going on right now. So
couldn't agree more. J4, you are not completely up to date with the show, but what you've seen so far, how do you rate it? Spoiler free.
Ooh, it is entertaining. It's not my general cup of tea. I generally like a little bit more lighter stuff. I don't really like necessarily delving into the darker things too much. But it's still very entertaining, and it is refreshing isn't the word I would use, but it is it's good sometimes to see a genre kind of at a different angle, and I think that's what this show does, and it's doing it really well. And it's the casting's great. Yeah, I feel like the characters make sense. I had a train of thought and it's gone.
Amtrak.
A-Train. But no, I like it. I've got 2 episodes left. I'm excited to see how this season ends. I'll probably keep watching it. But I give it a 6, but that's mostly just because it's not my normal viewing type material.
Fair enough. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will be diving into the spoiler review of The Boys. And if you are sticking by, stay after we're done reviewing with our usuals, because I, who have read the comics very in-depthly, will give you things they did different, things they stayed the same, and overall tonality. So we're going to give you 5 seconds to, in The Boys fashion, get the ever-loving fuck off of our podcast and not ruin your life.
Here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Get the fuck out of here.
Spoiler review of The Boys. Holy
Still here.
shit.
Holy shit, you're in for a ride.
Okay, so we're gonna do this kind of same structure we did when we did the Avengers. We're gonna talk about favorite characters, why, favorite scene, obvious, why, favorite overall episode, and your favorite character growth. And then give some ideas as to what you want to see come from the second season. So we're going to, I don't want to start because I will immediately start talking about the comic book. So I'm going to throw.
You'll talk about everything, and we'll be like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Start with Jake, so that way he doesn't have to hear us talk about.
Yeah. Oh, I don't care.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, we love you, bro. All right.
I will say.
Appreciate the thought.
That. Oh God, my favorite character. It's a toss-up. I've got kind of like almost like a tie for 3, but in terms of the show, I really love Starlight. She is my favorite. I still hold dear and true to both the combination of Huey and Butcher, because in the comic books, there's slight differences, but they're the main characters of the whole entire series, and they have the most character development. That's why you love them the most in the comics. But yeah, Starlight, I love her character because in this show she gets to be in the limelight, and she gets to kind of just say, you know what, go fuck yourselves, after they've pushed her around too much, and then she gets them by the fucking balls, and I fucking love that. She's also the most like wholesome and real in terms of what you would still see as someone who wants to do good with their superpowers, not unlike Homelander or literally anybody who is a superhero, at least by comic book standards, which we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
She's awesome. I love how sweet she is. I love how wholesome she is. She is essentially me if I wanted to be a superhero. So I like that about her. In terms of character growth, I would actually throw it to Huey. It is so interesting and fascinating to watch because you got to keep in mind the timeline of what's going on. Huey just watched A Train run through his girl at top speed, which, by the way, if you haven't, you should see Brightburn because they touch on this a little bit too. If someone's running at those speeds and they run into a person, that's what's gonna fucking happen to you. So he watched his girlfriend holding her hands still in air, dripping blood. You don't think that's gonna resonate with a motherfucker? Like, seriously. So through this entire first season, he's going through the beginning steps of somebody who has PTSD. And that's what I fucking love about that character and what he's going through, because you get to see everything, and you get to really, and the actor did a fantastic job really portraying someone who's going, like, he's trying to keep pushing forward, but then he has these moments where he has to like shut down and go, okay, no, I am not okay, and then fucking hunker down, get a hold of himself, then act like, like our turtle joke. He had PTSD, he had a moment, he let it slide, and then he looked over and he said, you know what, fuck it, and then blew his ass to shit. Like, literally
yeah. Blew his ass apart.
Yeah.
So my God, I couldn't hear that. I couldn't hear that. I don't know if you turned your mic off or not.
Oh, that's because I was chewing on ice. You don't want
fair enough.
I'm here for you.
Chewing on what?
Crayons.
Nom nom.
Nom nom.
What do you think this is?
Liquid
Favorite
crayon, apparently?
It's orange today. I ran out of purple.
frozen orange crayons.
Don't you wanna Fanta?
Ooh.
There's a whole new meaning to those drinks now.
It's much better than the Hitler parallel, let me tell you.
Whew.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Favorite scene: Starlight up on stage saying "fuck it." To me, that was my favorite scene. Why? Because again, she's all like, you know what? This is bullshit. And she just let it out. Like, everything she's been bottling up, and called everybody out on what they needed to be called out on. And I loved it.
Are you choking on your crayon?
I accidentally spit a piece of myself.
Speaking of dolphins,
Be careful! Don't get hit!
No, that's mine. You dirty whore mouth.
Don't worry, it's okay. But honestly, favorite episode though is episode 1. The reason why I say episode 1 is because now I read the comics in trade form, which is like I think 8 to 10 comics for each trade. Episode 1 is a combination of 10 comics into one, and that's why I fucking loved it. So yeah, that's my spoiler review of The Boys and what I love about it. Carl Urban is doing justice to that character, by the way. Butcher, let me tell you. I'll tell you when we get into the everything else. Speaking of dolphins, we are now actually going to throw it to Mayan Goddess. It's your turn.
Give me just a sec.
so
I'll be right back, guys.
One.
Okay, what questions do I need to answer?
Favorite character?
All of them.
Why? All of them.
You're welcome.
Favorite character and why? Favorite scene and why? Favorite episode and why? And favorite character growth and why?
Okay, so favorite character, I'm actually at a toss-up between Queen Maeve, even though she didn't get a lot of screen time, and Kimiko, or the female. And the reason why is because the actress who did the female, or Kimiko, did an amazing job for not saying anything. She did not say a single word that entire time. I think she said maybe 3 or 4 lines, and they were all memories. So she did a really fantastic acting job and really great skills. And then Queen Maeve, I personally kind of related to her, not because I cosplay as her obvious counterpart. But she's bisexual. And a lot of the things that like she was dealing with and had to go through, a lot of those conversations I've had to go through too. So it was really exciting to get to see that on screen. Like the whole like, you gonna leave me for a dick? Like that shit actually happens. So like getting to see that was really exciting to be like, hey, I can relate to that. So yeah. Not talking as hard.
It's hard.
I do it all the time.
Not gonna lie, I forgot you were there. Just so you were quiet for so long, forgot you were even in the chat.
I'm waiting my turn.
So with that being said,
We're so
yes, my favorite my favorite scene right there. Rest in peace to my dolphin laugh, because it is now second place to the best dolphin scene I've ever seen in my life. Like,
Move over, Flipper.
like, so there's a scene. Thank you, Walter. There's a scene where like the Deep is like rescuing this dolphin and is flirting with the dolphin, like getting hit on by the dolphin.
He volunteered to rub one out for the dolphin.
Yeah, and
No,
then
no,
like
no. He didn't volunteer to rub one out. He volunteered to plug the blowhole with his genitals.
He said he was just gonna touch it.
Yeah. With what, J4? It's the boys. They held a goddamn baby up and used its laser vision and cut people to shit. Of course it's gonna fucking be his dick.
yeah.
We saw episode 1.
So there's can I say two scenes, one funny, one serious?
Sure.
Okay. My favorite serious scene actually addressed something that I feel like is both uncomfortable but also needs to be brought up, is that sexual assault can happen to anybody. So the scene where the Deep gets sexually assaulted.
Yeah, that was.
You haven't seen that yet. Okay,
It's a-
noted. So that's coming.
Hey,
It's-
hey, you
hold
said
on,
you
no.
didn't care.
We're,
Okay.
No, you know what? Let's just fucking ruin it
Oh.
for you right now so that you're bracing for fucking impact. We're not
I-
just talking sexual assault. We're talking when he takes his vest off, he has gills.
Yeah.
She puts her hands into his
It was
gills
so uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
and starts
I'm so glad I came
rubbing
back at this.
around, doing this, and he's in pain, saying, "No, no, no, get off of me." But it's like his weakness. It's like that's what we kind of like. As stupid as it is, Namor, when you put shoes on Namor, it weakens his abilities. That's his weakness. When you get into his gills, he gets weaker. So she's doing this to him and getting off to it, and he's like, "No, fuck no, get off of me," and he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, so like getting to see that, it was very much a nice, as uncomfortable as it was something that we don't see in television, and it's something that I feel like we avoid as a topic of discussion. So to see that and kind of bring up that part of the conversation, saying like, hey, it does not matter your gender or race, nationality, religion, nothing. Like it can happen to anybody. So I did appreciate that, and I want to give a lot of respect to that.
And I would like to know for the record, the reason why I'm cringing is not so much the sexual assault. It is literally the idea of the woman putting her fingers into someone's gills is what grosses me out, because you hear the squishy noise as she's putting her fingers up and down. And I'm just like, no, why? What's going on?
It's great.
Anyway.
So one of the nice things about knowing like special effects and everything like that, and knowing how they get those sounds,
Yeah.
is awesome. So
They get
literally,
creative.
Go on.
yeah, they actually take overcooked pasta in like a glove or something like that and poke holes in it, and then just squish it and squeeze it out and everything like that. So like in those scenes in like Hostel and everything, like, where they're like pulling organs out, that's what you're actually hearing. So
I'm
You're
good. I'll
hearing-
never be able to eat pasta ever again.
I want
just
pasta.
letting you know.
Can't have
See,
pasta.
that's
in
not
my
the
diet.
grossest sound to me. The grossest sound to me is like when like it's like the teeth pulling or the nails on the chalkboard, and I
Oh,
can just like ah.
oh.
Or,
Yeah, I saw it.
or
I saw a
I-
picture the other day that I'm still cringing over. This one picture. Had to deal with somebody's front tooth, I right there, and toenail clippers.
Oh God, no! I hate
And
teeth
cutting
stuff.
the tooth in half.
I'll
And you
one
can
up.
see the
I see your teeth moment, and I one up you to Ace Ventura when nature
You
calls
would one
with the
up.
fork, the knife.
That's
and
what the
teeth
army
and the
does.
Plate.
They have to.
And he just scrapes the knife and fork along the plate on Ace Ventura. That was
That's
what
nothing.
started. That's what started me on that. Going, nope, I can't do that sound. That sound is horrible.
I know how
Can
I'm
I-
gonna eat dinner from now on.
Can I
You're
tell
the
you,
worst.
since you mentioned the baby thing,
Yes.
and I was gonna say for it, and I apologize, I'm about to talk about one more scene, and then I swear I'll be done. I
As long
think
as you're not talking about a Serbian film, you should be fine.
I am not.
Good. Move
I
on.
got you. So the scene where, oh gosh, it was where like the senator is like having sex with this like shapeshifter,
Changeling.
and like and like the changing kind of like changes into a man to take the pictures.
That feels
I was-
different.
Can I tell you how awkward it is to be watching that, sitting next to my sister, who is feeding the 1-month-old,
Mhm.
and then
Iris-
not soon after that, getting to see Homelander and his
Oh yeah, that
Weakness.
whole
Yeah.
relationship.
I was like,
yeah.
To quote Maisie Williams, if you think that's bad, my mother had to watch me do that scene. That was her Twitter response to everybody going, I don't want to watch Maisie Williams as a kid have sex with this guy. And she responds to Twitter, destroying all of them, going, if you think that's bad, my mom had to watch that. Tee hee. And I'm like, Maisie, I fucking love you.
No idea what you're talking about, but okay.
Don't worry about it.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah, 'cause you didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah. You now have favorite episode and character development. Those-
I would probably say episode 7, just because episode 7, if I remember correctly, that's the one where like all the families are like put into exile and like they like find their safe places and stuff, and you get to see like everyone's out like personal lives come together, and you realize like this person has a loved one, this person has a loved one, this person has family. Like it kind of like made everybody human and it really raised the stakes in a really good way, and I appreciated that. And then I would probably say favorite character development, I would have to say Starlight. With Huey as a very close second, but Starlight definitely kind of like, you saw her go from this like dewy-eyed naive to like, I'm a fucking superhero.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, yes, bitch, get it. Oh.
Speaking of bitches, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
Careful.
I'm right here.
We were talking about the Air Force, babe. Don't worry. No, but it is your turn, my love, Ruby Echo. So why don't you go ahead?
Aww.
Can you say the questions again?
I love.
Favorite character, favorite scene, favorite episode, and favorite character development.
Okay, so the first time I watched it, my favorite character was Mother's Milk. I really like his character a lot. I love how he is so adamant about helping everyone in the prison become better people and everything he was accomplishing before Butch showed up. And still had that mentality going forward. But then watching the second time, I had a lot more of an appreciation for Frenchie. And the dynamic also between those two was great. But Frenchie specifically because he does everything he can to see the best in people, and like all these there's so many moments where I'm just like, oh my god, Frenchie, and he's the one that takes in. Sorry, Jake. He's the one that takes in the female, and it's like, no, I'm not going to just gas her. Sorry, guys, but she's a person, and we should treat her with respect and try and figure out what's going on with her, because clearly not great things. So I kind of have two favorite scenes in that regard, especially with him. One of the moments was when they have translucent in episode 2, and Huey is asking Frenchie about what it's like to kill someone, and Frenchie has this very thoughtful response to him and explains about this woman, and you don't really know what he's getting at quite yet, and then ends with, and that's the first person I killed, and I think about it all the time, and it's just so like, oh my god. I love that sincerity moment there, and how everybody's like a scar to him, and he doesn't take it lightly at all. And also the moment, I think it's in episode 4 or 5, no, it's got to be 4, when they are at the train station trying to find the female, and he's having that moment with her when he finds her under the table and saying like, no, it's going to be okay. And I can't remember exactly what he says there, but
Take my hand, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. That was so, I just love that so much. Just like, he's not looking at the surface level stuff that she's doing, and just being like, well, that's who she is. She's horrible. And it's kind of in contrast to the whole story of the show, and how the heroes, at face value, they're these amazing heroes and everybody looks up to them. And in reality, they're these horrible people for the most part. And it's exactly the opposite with the female. So I think that's a really interesting look at that, and the fact that Frenchie's able to see that. Episode 4 is actually my favorite, because of a lot of those moments, and they're discovering more about Compound B in that episode, so you really get that drive of like what they're going to,
What's
and what
going
the
on?
what the goal is. All these secrets are starting to open up, and you get that real intrigue happening there. And then my favorite funny moment is in that episode as well, when MM is just fed up with Frenchie and storms off, and Frenchie does the same, and it's like, where is Sporty Spice?
Yes.
Like, they're nothing when they're apart, but when they're together, they're the fucking Spice Girls. And then they move into the next scene with the dolphin, with a Spice Girl song, which is just perfect, and I love that.
I love how they bonded over the fact that they were like, he gives the worst fucking speeches.
Yes. Really
It's
does.
just like,
Yeah, I think that episode as well, we have the plane with Homelander and Queen Maeve.
Oh,
And to tie into, it's not the most obvious character development, I think, because Huey and Starlight, I agree with those a lot. But to touch on one that hasn't been brought up yet, Queen Maeve.
Yep.
This episode is really when you start seeing she's noticing, or maybe she's noticed, but actually willing to realize that there's problems with Homelander and the whole thing. And you're really seeing it in that moment when Homelander is totally fine leaving that plane, and she's just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, what? And she is not the same after that. So that would be probably one of my favorite underrated character developments. I'll be interested to see where she goes into in season 2, because you just keep seeing that disdain she has towards Homelander as the series progresses. Did I answer all the questions? So...
yeah, I believe you did. You did favorite character, scene, episode, and character development.
Sweet. All right, I'm good.
Sweet.
We're now going to throw over to Single Dad. Now, what?
before he
What?
begins, Neo Bob Falcon wants to wish Russ a happy birthday.
Thank
He is
you.
the owner of Harley the cosplay dog.
Yes.
Popped by to wish him
Tell-
a happy birthday.
Tell
Oh.
him to fuck off. We've gone past that
I'm-
now. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Ha, 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 don't kill me.
Neo Bob Falcon, thank you very much for the happy birthday. Honestly, the Deku cosplay and for the pupper, I absolutely love it. That's my absolute favorite. So thank y'all. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes.
Anyway,
So-
back onto the show. Your turn, good sir.
Yes. All right, it's my turn. Okay, cool.
By the way,
Um,
if you guys need to look at the questions again, I've officially put them in the chat. So all you got to do is pull out your phone.
I'm not even sure.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I'll pull out the. Give me uno momento. I need a refill. Could I get
God
the glass
damn
and my birthday beer?
Behold,
This is just my dinner
the
beer.
amazing
Well, no. I was gonna say.
awesomeness that is his family right now. This moment, right here. I
Well,
love
yeah.
this.
So for those of you who weren't here with us once we started recording, his webcam turns on and his son is standing behind him with a dark liquid in a very large wine glass. And I go, "Is your son giving you alcohol?" And he goes, "No, that's his."
Okay,
All right.
I'm in the meantime betraying morning coffee club with tea. Forgive me.
It is.
Not forgiven.
Say morning coffee club and adult beverage club. You know what? Morning jitter club, jitter liquid club is what it's do because we accept everything: Monster Energy drinks, tea, milk. I mean, same thing with adult beverage club. The only thing we don't allow is breast milk because that technically is not an adult beverage. That is a baby-only beverage.
Oh, that's a Homelander.
Homelander,
What?
yeah.
Oh.
God, I fucking set myself up for that one.
Hey, don't kink shame me, okay?
Don't have
Kink
kids, dude.
shaming is my kink shame.
Don't have kids, dude.
Speaking of
okay.
having kids, I think the dog is cleaning him or herself in the background.
And staring at us while doing it too.
Are you ashamed of yourself? No, don't be. You do your thing, girl. You do your thing.
Yeah, girl.
All right, well, since we're all doing our thing.
You lick that thing.
I'm gonna stay in the other room.
Okay,
Welcome to a
so-
military podcast.
Let me hold on, since I can pull up the chat. Oh, fave character. Okay, so this is one that really hasn't been touched on much as fave character, but I'm gonna go with this. Totally off the wall. Black Noir. Don't know who he is. Don't know what he does. He just goes around and kills people. That's all he fucking does. Doesn't say a
And he
damn
plays the
word.
piano.
Yes,
He
and,
plays
I
the
mean he's a
piano.
virtuoso.
He went for the entrees and they just pass him and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. So he is quite literally the black guy at the party. Nobody notices him. Nobody wants to pay attention to him. Nobody is going. Oh
I
no!
saw that.
Oh
I saw
no!
Okay,
Yes.
breaking news, everybody.
Yes.
Thanks to J4, who's bored and is on his phone. Ewan McGregor has reportedly
Multitasking.
signed on to play Obi-Wan once again for a Disney Plus series. There you go.
Yes.
That was already in
About-
the works.
About fucking time.
Anyway,
That's
back
from
to
the Disney Insider.
Are you humping? Well, I can't tell what you're humping though.
Oh,
No,
You're
I'm,
humping.
Dolphins.
I'm skiing. Mine
Oh.
out of the gutter.
this is my favorite beer in the world.
Why would you be skiing?
Because
Okay,
it's winter.
so-
Because
somewhere.
she's Elsa, weren't you listening?
It's also been reported by Variety, IGN, Polygon, CNET.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a rumor this morning that it was gonna happen, and then I think at like 3 Pacific was when they were like, yeah, it's happening.
But until
Nice.
I hear Fox News, CNN, I won't believe a word of it. Because that's how they do it.
What?
Those are
That's what I have to
reliable
say
sources
about
of
that.
information.
It was sarcasm. Moving on. Black Noir.
So, literally, he's the one that gets passed up at the parties. Nobody notices him. He just goes and does his job. Like when Homelander gathers the 7 together, or what's left of the 7, to have his little pep talk, and then he's like, "You suck. You suck. You haven't been doing your job. You're doing great, man. You keep
He's
doing
like-
what you're doing." And I'm just like, he goes around, kills people. superheroes, quote fingers, he's the one that like only stays true to his nature, and just goes out and messes people up. Favorite scene, I know I wasn't here. I had to take a little break when Mayan was talking about it, but yeah, the fucking dolphin scene. Holy shit! I could not stop laughing.
And there is
That
our
fucker.
dolphin.
I mean,
Oh my
It
god, it
wasn't-
really is like a
it
dolphin.
wasn't just what happened, because it's like, oh goodness. I mean, you've got this superhero that has literally been taken down a peg. I mean, he's been shipped to fucking Ohio. I mean, bumfuck anywhere, because he's an embarrassment. I mean, that is like the biggest demotion ever. And now he's like, I'm gonna save the whales one at a time. I'm gonna save this dolphin.
I think the
I'm
dolphin
gonna have
was
sex
before,
with this
actually.
dolphin. And I mean, like that underlying tone of when he's talking to the dolphin and the dolphin's talking to him, and it's like that dolphin's so excited to be hanging out with Geek and wants to get with him,
The
and then
fangirl.
yeah, that happens. It's like
I made a promise.
I through the air. And I mean, that whole scene reminded me like the opening in Zombieland with the seatbelt rule,
In slow motion and everything.
with the fat soccer mom going through the windshield, and like I see the dolphin, and then I was like, okay, cool, the dolphin's dead, and then the fucking semi comes. I was like,
the
"Aw."
dolphin skits along the fucking
I
cement
know.
floor for a good 3 feet, and you're just like, there's no blood trail or anything like skidding, so I'm just like, okay,
like
maybe the
road
dolphin's
rash
gonna
for
be
Bell.
fine, and then
Shit.
fucking the truck, and I'm just like, oh holy fuck, what the fuck?
Oh man.
It's so good. It's so good.
So yeah, that is my favorite scene.
And all of it to the Spice Girls.
Yep.
Fucking dolphin flies out like a goddamn meat torpedo.
And there's tonight's episode title,
Dave.
Geek
Yup.
Torpedo.
Meat torpedo.
It's like the Sam McKinnon, but like purpose.
I was gonna say meat missile, but I figured with the
No,
aquatic
meat
nature of the
torpedo's
creature.
Yeah, like a meat torpedo.
Yes, and meat torpedo is a lot more phallic because you know that's what we know for.
Anyway, continue.
So,
A meat
Favorite
torpedo.
episode? Honestly, I'd really I really can't say a favorite episode. Number one, it set it off. I mean, it sets the tone for the entire show. So I'm gonna have to. If I have to say favorite episode, I'm gonna go with number one. I loved what happened in. There were some aspects of each episode that were awesome. Obviously, you've got to have these moments that tie everything together, and you've got to keep the show going. And episode 8, there were some shit at the end that happened, and I'm just like, oh. And so I'm really looking forward to next season. But episode 1 started it all. It got the whole ball rolling and set up the tone for the entire show, which I'm appreciative of. What was the next question?
Character development.
Favorite character development. So Ruby kind of touched on this, and I'm gonna kind of go with Queen Maeve as my favorite character development in the
Oh.
show, because
What's that
Uh,
background noise?
that background noise is my kids playing a game in the kitchen.
Okay, now
So.
everybody knows.
So they're having fun.
Okay. If
They're
it was
trying to reach
anyone
the
else,
ceiling.
I would have told them to shut the fuck up. No, I'm just kidding.
Aw. Thanks, Teeny. Okay, so favorite character development is Queen Maeve. Just for the simple fact, again at the beginning of the show, you see.
Oh, thanks, Reen.
You see her step in front of an armored car. That is what she does. I mean, she's strong. She's indestructible. Everything like that. And she's working and she's bantering back and forth with Homelander. So we don't know if that's their relationship or if that's how they are, or if that's just for the cameras that are there. All right. So, but then we find out later on in the show that they did have a relationship. Hey, Zoe, Teeny. That they did have a relationship. That things didn't work out. And that she's a. You hear the way she talks to. What's it?
Starlight?
Starlight. Thank you. I'm thinking Starlight,
I was
Starbright. First
distracted
there,
by
I
the
see it, and I.
dog, so I don't remember what you were saying.
Yeah.
Love you.
Thank you for your honesty.
We see the way she talks to Starlight at the beginning, and it's like, hey, that's the way this just happens, and you just got to get used to your place in this world. And towards the end of this season, when she's like asking Starlight for help, and she's like, holy crap! I mean, we're trying to do this. You see, obviously, in the episode where with the hijacking, you see her be like, holy crap! What we're doing is horrific. And then you see her start going on this downward spiral. She still wants to help. She understands and she realizes that now what they've been doing is wrong. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next season. Not character developments are positive. I think she's gone. She's been going with the status quo for so long, and now that she realizes that what she's been doing is evil. And she's really questioning herself and what she's doing, her character, and now she has to fix that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in season 2. But Queen Maeve was the biggest character development that I saw. So.
All right. And now on to J4, good sir.
Okay, where do we start? Favorite character? I would probably have to go with Frenchie. I like Frenchie. At first, I thought he was just going to be another cliche character, but you definitely see more growth. Not necessarily growth. You just see him that he has a lot more layers. He even talks about that when he's talking to a female. What was her name?
Kimiko?
Miko.
Go, something like that.
He feels like he's just a weapon. He's a gun that Butcher just points him and shoots. But he wants to help too, and you see that really play out in the dynamic between him and Miko, where he doesn't want to just take the easy path with her. He wants her to get to where she needs to be. And I like that. My favorite scene is probably, once again, involving those two, where after they get all the info out of her that they can out of the Sixth Sense boy, they loved that cameo, by the way.
Yes! I screamed when I saw that. I was like, fucking Vespers, no way! Sorry.
How meta was that? Having a former child star play a character that's a former child star in the show. I like that. But anyway, my favorite scene is after all that, when they're sitting on the couch and he's talking to her and he's like, what we're doing here is really important. We could stop a lot of people that are trying to do bad things, essentially. And he's like, and we could really use your help. But if you nod right now, I'll take you to the airport right now and we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
And he let it be her choice instead of basically forcing her. And I really liked that. And And yeah, so that was episode 6. Also my favorite episode because you see that relationship play out, and then you get to see some more of the whole holy shit, there's a lot fucking wrong with Homelander, and you kind of get a glimpse as to why he's a fucking psychopath.
You don't even know the half of it.
Yes.
Just a glimpse of him being basically as an infant left in a room with nothing but a blanket. Yeah, I can see why he's completely fucked.
Everything okay?
But as far as character development, in all honesty, I haven't seen too much character development yet. Like, I've seen glimpses of it, and there's been next to no growth, save for maybe Huey has had a little bit of growth in basically finding his testicles. But
A-Train had something to do with that too.
yeah, well, there's that. But like, none of the characters really change through the show, except through 6 episodes so far. I mean, it's kind of take that with into consideration.
I feel like
But there's
with
not.
the kids. Hold on. I feel like with the kids laughing in the background, you're talking very serious, but we have like a laugh track going on for no reason at all. It's just really weird.
So it's like watching Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
When they actually say absolutely nothing that's funny, and everything is apparently funny.
Hilarious.
Forced humor.
Bazinga.
But no, I really just don't see a whole lot of growth in the characters right now. We're still at the discovery phase because I mean,
Yeah.
8 episodes per season. It's not a whole lot of time. Versus, a normal network show when you're getting a 45-minute long episode and you got 24 episodes a season. There's a bit of a difference between your character development over the course of a season and say like a CW TV show versus this. Yeah. That being said, they're not exactly. The budget seems a lot higher per episode with this show. Just in the quality of the effects, which are actually pretty interesting.
It all went to the Homelander episode when he decides to do the DOD's job.
Oh yeah.
That should be interesting.
All
You
right,
will.
all right.
So you'll see where all the budget went.
Yeah.
So it's similar to Game of Thrones, where they spent all their money on the dragons and the Battle of the Bastards. Same thing with the boys.
Sure, I believe it.
To be fair.
Anyway.
The baby scene. Like,
Oh
there
my
was
God.
I'm sure there was a lot of CGI for that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I'm actually saying that like
Can we
the CGI and the costume, the budget actually seems really high for this show versus like a CW show where you can tell like they don't cut some corners on some of the CGI. Like looking at Martian Manhunter, looking at you, bro.
Like they could have like the giant scene in one of their crisis events when they're doing a crossover and they're doing nothing but CGI for Adam versus whatever the giant monster was, and I'm like, you could have done a Power Rangers move and just had him stand with a bunch of minis around him fighting a monster, and it would have looked 10 times better. Because those were like PlayStation 2 CGI effects right there, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
But like even the costuming is really well done.
Yeah.
The only thing that like really makes me twitch is the really bad muscle suit that Homelander wears.
Yeah.
Like it's like when he moves his arm and you can like see the foam kind of buckle. It's like, oh, dude.
I've been noticing that more the second viewing.
Oh god, it's so bad. And like the chest muscle, they don't like in some scenes that you can tell like they're slightly off centered It's like,
I watched a little costuming
But
featurette
we're
thing that
cosplayers.
showed
We
the
We
muscle
noticed that
suit.
shit.
yeah, I know. And
we are trained to look at the specifics of costuming.
Well, no, because the same
it
thing happened
had
with
nothing to
Shazam,
do with
and
going.
everybody was like, "Wow, that's a muscle suit," even though like Zachary Levi is
Shazam.
it right now. But yeah, so
Okay,
it's like,
but
of course we're
to
gonna
be
notice this.
fair,
To be
be
fair,
Zachary Levi,
Actually jacked.
yeah,
and not
he
very
worked
muscly.
out for his role. Whereas Homelander, he was like, I don't care to work out. Okay, don't worry, we'll make you a muscle suit. Stop. Stop it right now, Mayan. Stop it.
You started talking about Zachary Levi. I couldn't help it.
Okay. Anyway, but now we're gonna
He
move
cleans
on.
up nice. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
He
Not gonna lie.
does.
It's time to move on to our final part where I get to blow everyone's fucking minds who hasn't read the comic book series. First of all, I'm just going to state this. The comic book's first page sets the tone for the entire storyline when it opens up to three superheroes flying through the air, and there's Butch with his dog on a park bench, looks up at them, and the only line that comes out of his mouth is, "I'm coming for you, you cunts." And it's just like, what the fuck am I about to read? What the hell is going on?
nice.
Just like just like in the glimpse that we saw with the bar scene where all these superheroes get to like hang out and just be themselves, this is a thing that happens in different areas in their little like safe houses. They've got prostitutes over and they're not just having sex with them, they're killing them. And Vought sweeps it under the rug. So of course, one of the biggest reasons why these superheroes are running around going, we can do no wrong, not just because of their superpowers. They've got fucking Big Brother just going, hey, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it for you. No worries. The whole essence of the boys, and this is another thing that they changed in the comic book series as opposed to the show, everyone but Huey was already established. They're already an underground organization funded by the CIA. They're already established. And their job by CIA is the police force of the soups. But they just haven't had the opportunity because it takes a lot of investigative work to dig it up. And they haven't had an in until Huey happens, and it's a very public thing that happens because it's all over the news. There's, oh, A-Train, you just stopped the bad guy. That's great because the cameras or crews are already there. And then Huey screams in the background, Robin, and they turn over and there he is holding the two hands in his hand, crying and blood all over him. And they have to talk about it. That's when Butcher searches Huey out and says, hey, I have an opportunity for you. So Compound V is already something that is well known. And in fact, the soups got it when they were at birth. But when you're an adult, you can take it as a dose, like it's like a bump of drugs, to jack yourself up so that your strength and speed wise can match the superhero that you're fighting. It gives you strength and agility, basically. It doesn't give you superpowers. It just gives you super strength so you can go toe to toe with them. The interesting side effect, and I'm hoping it happens in the show, when you take it as an adult, the only side effect that happens is once it's done out of your system, it turns your poo blue.
Oh darn.
That's it. So I'm just like, that's fucking hilarious. But
I put too much dye in my frosting for my birthday cake. That happens.
yeah, right, right. So, what are the other notes I put down for myself?
Oh, can I mention one?
Go.
I'm really so one thing that they did change that I did not read the comics, but I did have a friend who noticed this when we were watching it. I'm very glad that Starlight's introduction was being forced to blow only one dick instead of getting fucked by the entire group.
Yep.
Oh my.
That would have been too
Yeah.
much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they toned that down, and I'm very glad they did.
And
Thank you
speaking
very
of
much.
toned down, of course, we only got, if you pay attention to it, if you decide to watch it a second time, pay attention to little moments on the news. They actually interview the other groups that exist within this universe. The G-Men, which is, I think a nod to the X-Men, obviously, and then they have like a Teen Titans kind of group. All these groups exist, and there's also a Bat family, but he himself Tech Knight. So a lot of these characters they took something from DC, took something from Marvel, meshed it into one, and then turned them upside down, polar opposite personality. So you got superpowers from one verse, but the costume from another. This Tech Knight is Iron Man and Batman fused into one. And he's got the Bat Cave, but all of his gadgets are Iron Man related. He suffers from an addiction to sex, and he can't stop putting his dick into things. And they investigate him because there's a homosexual rape that is involved that is tied to a murder, and they find out that he's responsible. Well, before they get the chance to do anything to him, he kind of hallucinates. He hears on the news that there's a meteor going to crash towards Earth and destroy the Earth. But nobody can get to it, and the only way to stop it is by plugging a hole that is on the meteor. So Tech Knight goes, I've got just the tool. Gets on his jetpack, flies up to the asteroid, takes his dick out, and shoves it into a vagina-shaped hole on the asteroid and humps it until the asteroid blows up. Then you find out in the next page, Huey goes, oh, hey, did you hear? Tech Knight just died from a brain tumor that was the size of a golf ball. He fucking had a seizure or something and just died on the side of the road. So Tech Knight dies thinking the whole planet goes, we love you, Tech Knight, thank you for saving us. But in reality, he had a fucking seizure. So...
from fucking an asteroid.
Seriously. So another thing to add, I have not finished the series, and I just found out the reason why Mother's Milk is named Mother's Milk.
Because his mom literally named him that. He said that in the show.
He said that in the show, but there's a reason why he drank his mother's milk all the time. So it turns out...
She was a giant.
Whoa. Tell me the Game of Thrones reference.
Hey, it could just be that it's delicious, okay?
No,
and nutritious.
His mother was pregnant.
He could be a giant. I mean, you never know.
His mother was pregnant with twins, and they were working in a factory that was close to the factory that was working on Compound V, which was highly radioactive. She was the only person to survive. So when she gave birth, one of the sons was, he was mentally disabled, and Mother's Milk, he had to practically stay on the tit, basically, in order to survive. If he went an hour without his mother's milk, he turned into an Ethiopian child. He was skinny to the bone, and he was dying until he drank his mother's milk. Well, it turned out that the reason for this is because the radiation obviously affected the birth, and he needed more nutrients than, I guess, was led on to believe. Anyway, he watches his brother expand and blow up into a wet balloon, kind of like what we heard when a certain invisible character died.
Yeah.
It sounded like a wet balloon exploding. And then he found out that after he didn't need his mother's milk anymore, he's got super strength. Like, he can go toe-to-toe with Homelander's super strength. He is the first and only human born with superpowers, granted because of radiation, but all these other babies, like in the show, are given the Compound V. Yeah, after birth, he is born this way. So that's another fun fact about Mother's Milk that I enjoyed.
I think they'll probably get into that in season 2. Which,
I hope they do.
I hope so.
Which, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it, you shouldn't be here. But it's definitely set up for another season.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If they don't renew it, that's going to be a fucked up way to end the show.
No, they do. Okay, so we already covered
filming.
we already covered San Diego Comic-Con, but while they were doing their panel, they announced in the middle of their panel that they just got the email or something that says you're green light for season 2.
Yeah.
So
and they're planning on 3 as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think
So,
what was it? Elizabeth Shue?
yeah.
Who was it? Yeah.
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 They did a really great job at San Diego Comic-Con. The advertising was very prominent, but there was a lot of hype that kind of fed into that. So that was really nice to see that.
And then I have to talk about it because I'm really afraid. There's a lot of, in terms of cosplay, there's a lot of people out there who go, well, if you look real deep and down, there's something very human about this character, and I can relate to them. Please don't with the Homelander. He is. They
No.
kind of almost humanized him a little bit in the show, and I think that's what's scary because in the comic book there is no humanizing the Homelander. He rapes men because he is a closet homosexual, and in order to let that out, he rapes men. So there's that. Second of all, as like in the show, but amplify it, he is responsible for 9/11. He tried to stop the planes. He did what happened on the show, and then the planes hit the World Trade Center, and he was just like, oh, I don't know what happened. Just brushed it off. So, and there's a lot more that I don't even want to talk about because it almost disgusts me too much. But Homelander is quite literally, it's like there's
It goes to and I'm sure you've all seen it. I mean, there are plenty of memes going around. What?
oh yeah.
Ryan? What?
What is she doing?
I'm trying to figure that out. The hand signals.
I don't know, but she froze.
If she's
So-
frozen?
Yeah, she froze.
Oh, there she
Nope.
is.
Oh, she.
Nope, still frozen.
Yeah,
Nope.
that's me.
I've got her.
What are you
Okay.
trying to say? Okay, well,
So what I'm going back to is, I mean, all the memes going around, and literally the top picture is, I mean, Henry Cavill Superman, and the bottom picture is Homelander, and like the top picture, I mean, it says how the U.S. views itself, or like, I mean, how we
Oh,
want,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
at the bottom at the home, it's Homelander. It's like this is reality, and it's like,
to,
holy shit. I mean,
to that
yes.
credit, I would say even on a comic book level, I would not say it's the reality. I would say more of the nightmare. The reality, though,
Yes.
if I were to do an accurate meme due to what I've read and what I've seen, I would actually put just VOT as a whole and say the reality. Because I will admit, there's a lot of fucking lobbyists and corporations who are getting their fingers into politics because, hey, if I get this politician in, then I can do this, this, and this with my business. And it's sad because sometimes that is very true, but that's literally what's happening in the show. Like,
No, it's
they're
a carpet.
they're blackmailing the fuck out of the government so they can put their superheroes into the armed forces. Like, that's
Which,
textbook.
by the way, I'm very surprised none of you have talked about putting superheroes in the military. And
A military podcast.
yeah, so go do that.
Wait, what?
Coming
Hey,
from
Senator, I'll say this: that senator that got blackmailed by fucking a changeling,
Yeah.
he kind of put it probably best. That's not the kind of that's not the
Yeah.
that's not who I want to work with.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if somebody can take one person and change the entire U.S. military structure with one person, you know, nobody has that much power.
It's
There are people that have power. There are people that have sway that can, I mean, make changes in the government and everything like that, but not one person has that much power to change the entire structure.
well
Of
on
the
top
government.
Of that, yeah, on top of that, that's why our government is developed of several branches. It's not just one person making the
Right.
calls. There's such a system to make sure everyone else is in check. That's why it's implemented. So when she's sitting there trying to blackmail her way in, now granted, I will admit the way she did it forces the hand of the government. 110%. Well, okay, I don't know if I would say she did it, but the Supes did it.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that's all Homelander.
Yeah, that's all Homelander.
Hey, just
And
got a
it's-
message from Mayan.
Uh-huh.
She's having internet issues.
Okay. So in the event anybody's questioning why she hasn't spoken, her internet cut off. She is now off now. But yeah, it's that whole part alone. It's like that really does not on a switching gears from politics though, and now talking about superheroes.
Great plan.
Superheroes
You're
being
welcome.
in the armed forces as a whole. It's like it's for me. It's a tug of war for me on yes and no, on whether I approve or disapprove. Because on one hand, cool, because now we get this superhero to help us in our wars. Soldiers get to stay alive, blah 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 blah. But the negative side about it is, now of course this is coming from my perspective. I'd serve again. I love the serving, all that wonderful jazz. If there's superheroes in the armed forces, then what's the fucking point of anybody joining? And I say that on a perspective of, if I were to join the armed forces, it would be a why should I give a fuck if you've got Homelander fucking laser visioning the enemy to death? What's the point?
But here's the thing. I mean, it goes back to the whole Watchmen premise with Dr. Manhattan. I mean, if he's on our side, I mean, if you got somebody that can be everywhere, do anything, I mean, literally just unblink reality, with just a thought, I mean, who's going to stand against you? Who wouldn't want that on their side? But at the same time, it's like, I mean, if you've got somebody that's unstable like Homelander, who the fuck wants that?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when I don't have the superpowers to go toe to toe with him.
Right. You don't have the power to control these things. I mean, why the fuck are you going to want them?
If I had to make my statement and my stake in it, if I'm gonna have a superhero join in the military, I'd rather have it like Captain America than Superman.
Oh, I'm gonna take it another step further. I'm gonna go with if you haven't seen Love, Death and Robots, shapeshifters. Having the werewolves basically run point for Marine patrols and everything like that. They can sniff out, see. They understand what's going on. On a ground troop level, that's a definite advantage. Having somebody that's got omnipotent power, that's not an advantage. That's a liability.
Yeah, exactly. J4, what about you?
What's the question?
Superheroes, depending on their superpowers, being in the military.
That's a question I've never really thought about before. Well, and one that I don't think has, like, even in the hypothetical, one straight answer. Because you're talking about so many different variables. Okay, what powers are we talking about? Are we talking about the mental stability of that person? Are we talking about the intentions of that person? What about the desires? Do they want to serve in a military? Are we forcing them to do this? I mean, that's kind of a really complicated hypothetical.
Which, of course, if you had been paying attention to anything that Single Dad and I just discussed, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I was paying attention, but I'm also really tired.
We love you, we understand, and we appreciate you being here.
Yes. But no, like, okay, so to focus in, hone in, again, this whole entire question is really thanks to Ruby Echo, who, by the way, is a civilian. So to have this perspective and this question being asked is really nice. Homelander, being in the military, how do you feel? If that was real, how would you feel about that?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking you for.
Okay.
That's an interesting question, because which perspective are we taking before we contemplate this question? Are we taking it from the viewpoint of the average American person in this universe? This universe that the show takes place and the comic and the series takes place, or are we answering this question from the view of somebody that actually knows his mental instability?
I would probably say it doesn't know at all.
So then, I mean, you're looking at Superman.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, as far as everybody in this, universe is concerned, that version of Earth is concerned, Homelander is essentially Superman, who is essentially just a corn-fed kid from Kansas, all American, truth, justice, and the American way, who doesn't kill.
Mhm.
I don't know if that person would actually want to be in the military.
Well, let's say, okay, so here's a perspective then. Let's say you're about to close in with a formation on your squad to take out a building full of ISIS. Homelander shows up. He goes in, and all you see is the red flashing lights of his laser beams and screams of horror from inside the building as he told you to just stand by and wait until he comes outside.
Well,
Teeny.
hollow point bullets are outlawed in the Geneva Convention for a reason.
Can I?
So what?
Can I?
What
On
you
that fact, in World War I, shotguns were not allowed in trench warfare, but we used the fuck out of them.
True.
So, I mean, that's the thing is there's always going to be a rule that people don't follow as a matter of principle.
Yeah.
Why? Because I mean, a pump shotgun in trench warfare literally is the best weapon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had Tommy guns, I'd use those, but they didn't.
Spray and pray. But I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question anyway.
Fair enough. I do, though.
I'm a
have to admit,
mechanic.
yeah, but I do like your answer. You know, they're outlawed by the Geneva Convention for a reason. I think that's your answer as a whole. And to anybody who doesn't understand what he's saying, he's essentially saying, if it's overkill, then don't let it be. It shouldn't be allowed.
Well, it's not necessarily overkill. It's the fact that hollow point bullets are designed to expand on impact, basically destroying a human body before the person is dead.
Yes.
Can I please play devil's advocate on that?
Sure.
By all means.
And our 5.56 ball ammunition is absolutely made for the express purpose of wounding someone instead of killing them. And the whole purpose of our tactics and doctrine is to still not kill anyone, but to wound. I mean, we have designated marksmen that are out there to specifically kill targets, marked targets. But as for the frontline soldier, they are there to wound. Why? Because if you wound somebody, it takes that person plus a medic and or one other person. So you actually take 3 people out of combat instead of just 1. You kill somebody, they can leave them, you're gone. You wound somebody, it takes that person plus 2 others out, trying to get them out. So literally it's a numbers game. And we use ball ammunition to wound instead of kill.
Like I said, I'm not qualified to really answer this question. I'm a mechanic.
That's totally fine. To close
And
this up,
it's my birthday and I've been drinking, so please.
Dude, I'm not offended at all.
to wrap this episode up, I will make one note to anybody who's never read the comic book. The reason why Simon Pegg is such an awesome choice and why he's in the show.
Please. Thank you.
Simon Pegg is the what is it? Single dad. What are they? The likeness rights, right?
No, not just the likeness rights. He was the inspiration.
There it is, the inspiration for the character of
like
Huey.
when they designed the character, they looked at Simon Pegg, and they said, "This is how we want our character to be, like
So
in mannerism and mannerism,
So he's
how
Scottish.
they behave, everything like that."
So picture Simon Pegg with a goatee. That's basically what Huey is in the comics. So it was really awesome to see Simon Pegg. I mean, not being able to play his role is fine, but to be able to play close to the role, fucking brilliant. Loved it.
Yes.
Absolutely loved it. And he wrote for the show too.
Yes.
So there's another fun fact. Anyway, so
Speaking of shows, remind me again when Watchmen is coming out.
oh god, I have no idea. Well, it
Because
says
that's
2019 on it.
Yeah, that's the next show that I'm honestly really looking forward to.
Yep, I'm gonna have to take it episode by episode because my best friend will be coming over for viewing parties.
Again, it's HBO, so I'm not expecting everybody to watch it.
Yeah. At any rate, though, I want to say a huge credit and shout out to that amazing question by Ruby Echo about the military. Super props to that one.
Thank you.
No problem. You're done.
So
Somebody's getting laid tonight.
to all of our listeners that are not military inclined, like Ruby Echo, this is what we live for. This is what we're all about: is helping bridge those gaps, bringing those perspectives. This is a military show on nerd culture that is a shared culture between military and non-military alike. We're here to let you know, help you bridge that gap, help us all stay connected. So that's awesome. This has been an exciting episode. I absolutely love this episode on The Boys. If you're ready to watch more, just stay tuned. It's going to be a crazy ride because, again, after everything I said, there are certain things that have already been set in motion. So to see what happens next is going to be fascinating.
Yes.
Please, and this is my favorite part of every episode, if you like what we're doing, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on YouTube. Give us some love, give us some feedback on what you want to see us do in the comments section. We are on Podbean, we are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook. Give us some love, and of course, the biggest one of all, talk about us in conversation outside of being on social media. Just bring it up because that helps people come flock to our way and we can help build this amazing community.
Contact your local convention. Let them know you want us there as a panel. Let us know you want us there for a booth as an exhibitor. Let them know. Have them invite us. We'll be there.
Speaking of, our future cons as it stands is Emerald City Comic Con and WonderCon. We'll be doing a panel at Emerald City. It would be fun to do a panel at WonderCon, but we will see how that pans out. However, on WonderCon, the biggest thing to note is Portraits and Cosplay always sets up a military meetup. If you are military, if you're a nerd of any variety, come hang out with us at WonderCon. Let's get a huge group going, make the news, what have you, and just have some fun and meet other cosplayers, other nerds who have shared experiences. So that's going to be fucking awesome. And a shout out to Soldier Con because I would love to go there one day.
As would I. Yes, Soldier Con, please have us there. We would love to be there.
Yes.
And can I say one thing?
Go for
My
it.
boys just came in and interrupted and said our kitchen smells like Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen in downtown Disney, because right now they are melting butter and brown sugar and bananas and making bananas Foster. They're literally about to flambe it. I love them.
My penis can only get so erect, so please stop.
They are.
Oh my.
And on that note,
I have an amazing family.
I am your host, Tom Cruise Cosplay. With me tonight was Mayan Goddess. She can't say goodbye, but I'm sure she make a dolphin noise. Yeah, that is really close.
That was good.
On.
He's been practicing.
Right?
Actually, no. I had some phlegm that I need to get rid of.
She does. She's got a lot of phlegm on her. Anyway, and of course, J4 props surprising us.
Toodles.
The birthday boy, single dad.
Deuces.
And my beloved Ruby Echo for being an awesome special guest.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. We will see you all next week when we figure out what the fuck we're going to talk about.
Video games?
Yes, I think it's
Is that
video
what you
games.
wanted?
I think that's what we're going to do. Video games, because I know you're going to be there. So,
Yes.
anyway, deuces,
Cool.
everybody.
Y'all have a good one.
Motherfucker!